This next guest has a powerful story that's near and dear to my heart. Many of you may know that I was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa. It's a country that's at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to underdeveloped nations. Dee Malchow with Women of Hope International is here, and she's working with that group to help bring hope to the poorest of the poor there in Sierra Leone. Thanks so much for going on camera with me, Dee.
You're welcome.
All right, let's talk about what Women of Hope International does exactly.
It's a new program. We are seeking to come alongside the disabled women in that country and help them to identify ways that they can make their life better, become self-sufficient, become women of dignity and women of that are productive. Right now they are, as you say, at the bottom. Mm-hmm. And so we want to make a difference.
Let's talk about how they got there. But first, let me ask you, why do you care so much? You have your own personal story that's kind of connected to those women. Why do you care?
Well, it started many years ago. I became a person with an amputation when I was 19 years old. I was hit with a motorboat. So I have an artificial leg. And as a female, of course, I have a connection to them with that. But in 2001, after working for about 30 years as a nurse in a trauma center, I felt a strong calling from God to go with a team over to help with trauma recovery in this country. And I didn't want to go. I kind of discussed it with him and told him.
Jonah going on there.
That's it. I'm like, maybe Moses. I can't, I've had enough trauma. I don't need to be going over and seeing these people in their struggle. And he's like, you're going. So, of course, I went. And that was kind of the start of it. And after I had gone, that was 2001, I encountered a lot of other people that had had amputations.
Mm-hmm. In fact, you help them start up soccer. Yes. Is that right? And what was that all about?
That was totally unplanned, but it came about. I went to a refugee camp, and the people looked so pathetic and so hopeless. And one of the young men came up to me, and he said, our life is hard. We can't make it. And I said, do you play soccer? And he said, well, I used to. And I said, well, you can still do it, because I had been a part of a team that started up where we played on crutches mm-hmm. and kicked the ball around with our good foot.
So they took that to heart and just ran away with it, and it was championship amputee soccer players in Sierra Leone?
They totally did. They went from being pathetic victims of an awful war mm-hmm. to being heroes and admired in their own country. Mm-hmm. So it was exciting.
Good. Let's talk about that war, which is what affected these women. And I know this story. I was born there, so I followed the Civil War for 10 years. And it breaks my heart, when I think about the destruction that went on over there. Basically, rebels would go around just chopping off people's arms and legs, just amputating them.
Yes.
What kind of person does that? And how do the amputees survive?
Whoa, big questions. That was my thought. What kind of person does that? And when I went there, I've kind of put together a sense of people that they were put on drugs, and so they were not thinking clearly. And as we see many big tragedies happen at a smaller scale, that's often a piece of it. And there was evil dictators in other countries. There was the greed for the diamonds, that whole blood diamonds thing. It got the worst of what the human heart can conjure up, mm-hmm. and got it rolling, yeah. And it was awful.
And the women then would just become invisible in society, is that right?
It seems that the idea was to totally disable the men and then make the women also non-functional. And they're so much a part of that society as far as the nurturers, they do breadwinning.
Yeah, and looking at your website, I read that once these women are amputated, they become so low on the totem pole that just out of desperation, they're doing some really horrible stuff just to survive. What are we talking about there?
Wow, the bottom line, survival. They're out in the streets, they're begging, they're, they have no sense of self-esteem. They will sell themselves for a bowl of rice. Often they're looking for a man to support them, to take care of them, and they end up with children, and then they've got to figure out ways to try and feed them. So the desperation just continues.
And there's just scars upon scars. So where does the hope come from? What hope are you trying to bring them?
Well, we're a Christian organization, and we feel that the bottom line is the hope of Christ. And we just want to get that squared away and them to know that in God's eyes they are precious and that they are made by Him, and no matter what scars they carry, emotional or physical, that is who they really are. And as they incorporate that identity, they can start to process the emotional pain, start to look at potential ways of becoming productive and things like that.
And you have a trip coming up. You know, Dee, I could have been one of those women, being born in Sierra Leone. And I think that's why this just has such an impact on me, on what you all are doing. I'm hoping it has a lot of impact on people out there watching as well. You have a trip coming up. What's going to happen then, and when is it?
The trip is in late October, around the 20th. And we're taking a team of about 7 women who have been stirred to go over and follow up on making this difference in people's lives. It's basically a foundational trip on getting established the program over there. We want some quality women that can be trustworthy, that have capability of carrying this on, because our goal is to come alongside, empower them with every means that we come across, and then step back ultimately and let them become those women that they are made to be.
What kind of help do you need right now?
Well, money is always a big thing, as we all know. For each of us to go, it costs $3,700. And that includes the ticket and our housing, but also some of the seed money to get this set up going. Over time, we would like to have some ongoing donations to keep the program going, because it will be a growing thing. We envision that it's going to become a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it sounds like it will be. Thank you so much. Now, I know people can find out more about this by going to Women of Hope International. Is it .net? I think it's .org. Is it .org? WomenofHopeInternational.org. Yes. Well, you can always Google it. Google Women of Hope International, and of course they can contact me, and I can get them in touch with you as well. And everybody knows how to get in touch with CCN Crown City News. So thank you so much, Dee, for going on camera with me. I pray good luck and blessings for your trip in October.
Thank you, Tammy.
All right. Well, are we wrapping it up? Sounds like we're wrapping it up. Ran out of time for the CCN calendar. That's it then for this newscast today. Thanks so much to Dee Malchow from Women of Hope International for going on camera with me. Thanks to all of our sponsors, including Southern California Edison, Rymar Appraisal Services, Inc. on Calavera Street in Altadena, Fruit of the Spirit Wisdom Cafe on North Lake Avenue in Pasadena, ArcadiasBest.com, Wink Marketing, Robert Bethia of Arroyo Volleyball, Sophia Armendariz of Dilbeck Realtors here in Pasadena, Peter T. Stavropoulos, an attorney here, and Color Dots on Colorado for our printing. Thank you so much to all our partners and sponsors, and if you would like to join that, you can just contact CCN for that. Thanks to the CCN crew. This show is not possible without you. Thank you for watching CCN Crown City News. Join us each week as we cover the news in Pasadena and the San Gabriel Valley. For all of us here at CCN, I'm Tammy Devine. Have a great week.